Siraj Mbulambago, an administrator with Jebuli Muslim Hospital. I request him to say salam and we say how to start this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mr. Sinan, the aspect of modesty is a very important thing in the communities we are living in. And I remember in the last show we looked at the types and what it entails. So can we have a recap briefly and then see how we can continue with that topic, inshallah?
Naam, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yes, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Almighty for this chance once again to be here with you, our dear viewers, to share a few things regarding our deen. Yes, it is true, we have been handling moral conduct of Muslims and society generally. So last week we introduced ourselves to what you call modesty. The Arabic equivalent is what they call Alhidaaya. Alhidaaya, which you can call shyness, modesty, bashfulness. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was talking about al-haya, he said al-haya kulluhu khair. That actually, because we saw some of these hadith last week, that modesty, all of it, the bashfulness, shyness is actually good. It's good. Yeah. And we saw that in another hadith that we looked at last time, where Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that al-haya'u wal-'irru shufa'atani min al-iman. That bashfulness or shyness and reticence, we explain it as somebody's ability to speak less. Yes. You know, like we said, when somebody speaks a lot, they end up making a lot of mistakes. And when you make a lot of mistakes, you end up committing sins. So haya and speaking less are two branches of iman. So it's like haya has an aspect of iman and they are intertwined. Yes, and they are like brothers actually, according to, I think it was a Sahaba called Ibn Mas'ud. He said that faith and haya or modesty, they are intertwined, they move together. When a person loses one of them, the other one follows as well. So last time we looked at the types and we said there were two major types that we looked at. And one of the types was the natural haya, that is inbuilt, that somebody was born when has that sense of shame. And we give examples that is not all. You may find a child, young one, maybe at 2 years, but then they are shy, they don't want people to see them even when they are not putting on any clothes. Now that is somebody who is still young, so there is that natural disposition that they feel shy to do certain things. When they make a mistake, they feel shy that, you know, I've not done something right. And we saw that this one extends even to animals. We gave examples of a cat. That if you gave it food to eat, it will eat right in front of you. But if it stole it from the house, and you are seated outside your house, most likely to run away and hide, because it knows that has done what? A mistake. And that is an aspect of, you know, shyness. And also we looked at the learned one, that we learn it through formal means on how to be shy, in terms of what not to speak. Speaking evil, backbiting others, speaking immorality, humiliating others with your tongue is part and parcel of lack of bashfulness. It means you are not modest. According to your speech, people can easily judge that this is not a modest person. When it comes to clothing, we mentioned that as well, that, you know, people put on in a way that really whoever looks at them will be the ones again to get embarrassed. You find a man, grown-up man, leave alone the sisters, because we've spoken over and over again about the concept of hijab and covering them themselves. But even today, men, somebody puts on a t-shirt, and even when they go to pray, this t-shirt is short. Actually, whenever somebody goes on ruku, the lower part of the back is exposed. Even below the back, you find somebody exposed. So it even affects the quality of your prayer. And that all those are aspects of lack of bashfulness.
Okay.
So even the actions, taking what does not belong to you, entertaining evil thoughts,
yes.
eating what is prohibited, and so on and so forth. So we looked at those two types, and in our society, usually you find that bashfulness or shyness moves along with iman.
With the iman,
yes. That's why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the hadith, which again we saw last time,
yes,
he was saying, فَإِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. That whoever is not ashamed, whoever does not have haya, let them do as they wish. Meaning, al-haya is the last defensive barrier between you and committing sin. So once that barrier is removed, at the end of the day, it means there's nothing that you can't do.
Okay.
So where we actually had started on was the hadith
of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was said by Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, and in its meaning, we had just started on that hadith, and that's why maybe we need to continue.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I think before we continue, to the viewer out there, modesty, as our brother has explained to us, is largely the sense of feeling shame. Feeling shame to say something, feeling shame to do something. All that is modesty, and he has told us we have the natural disposition and the learned.
Yes.
Largely, the natural disposition is also affected by what we learn.
Exactly.
Because you find people say of late that ethics or morals or behavior is relative. You go to a given community, to them what you think is good, to them is bad, right? But to a Muslim, like we noted in the beginning discussion of this programming, is that a Muslim, you guide by the Holy Quran and the hadith of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So whatever is modest according to the Quran and hadith is what we should endeavor to do. Do not say, in the communities I live in, this is what we are doing. Are you a Muslim? And that is the purpose of this show. So, Brother Sina, having taught us the types of modesty, let's look at if in the process of learning, this person is interacting with different players, environments and players in the environment. What would be the main focus for a Muslim to pay attention to that should guide their modesty?
Yeah, that one maybe we can look at it when we are when I were recapping the program, because we look at a segment where on how to improve our modesty. But before maybe we look at that generally, because it comes up. But in that hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that was asking the companions as to who is modest in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way he deserves. Then said, we are all alhamdulillah modest before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them that probably you've not understood what I meant. But he said, whoever is modest is the one who is careful about his head and what it contains, and his stomach and what goes into that stomach, and the fear of death and destruction. And then the fourth thing he mentioned, the shunning worldly ornaments. Yes, being there that for us we are there just to enjoy our own selves. So we had looked at what did the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mean by saying that somebody being careful about the head and what it contains. We're looking at the issue of entertaining evil thoughts about others, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about your own self, and also generally thinking. But also in the head, we are looking at the how do you use your intellectual prowess. This head should ideally be used in prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means you're modest. It should be, your intelligence is supposed to be used to spread the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the major theme of Amr bil Ma'rufi wa Naha Anil Munkar, of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil. Not using your intellectual prowess, to steal, to con people, to use, your brain, and society is so bad to the extent that is somebody who is
doing something evil.
They call them smart.
They are smart.
Yes, the Americans use smart for intelligent. That is, such a person is very wise.
Very wise.
You understand? So being modest with the head and what it contains, there is that using the head for prostration, not entertaining evil thoughts, using our intellectual prowess for the path which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to follow. But also the head has other aspects. It has the eyes, prohibiting them from looking wherever they are not supposed to look, lowering the what? The gaze. Number two, the tongue, not speaking what is not desirable, hurting others, abusing, backbiting, slandering, humiliating others. The ears, not listening to all what is evil and forbidden. You get what I'm trying to say? All these bodily parts, the nose, not smelling whatever it's not supposed to do. So it means in reality something important. And the head alone, when you look at it, it has a lot of aspects that have to move in line with modesty. And eventually modesty leads you to faith. And that faith is whatever is going to lead you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when it comes to the stomach and what goes in, here in the explanation you realize that majority, of course speaking from a medical perspective, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred that most of the diseases people get are as a result of what they take in. What goes into what? Their stomachs. So now this has something to do largely with the following and identifying the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regard to what is haram and what is halal. Yes, and those are boundaries. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set them where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that ala inna likulli malakin hima, ala wa inna hima Allahi maharimuhu. That verily every king has boundaries in as far as their kingdoms are concerned. So he says, but the boundaries set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are his prohibitions. So prohibiting whatever goes into our stomachs, to avoid haram, to avoid whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited. And haram has its own categories according to the sheikhs. I'm not one of them. But there's haram which is as per originality when it is haram. For example, eating the flesh of swine is haram itself. But then there are things which would be halal, but the means you have acquired them through makes them haram. For instance, you've stolen food. You get what I'm trying to say? You've stolen a bottle of soda and you've taken it in. Or even putting into your stomach something that is harmful to you. So with the haram, actually it is really something that takes away modesty, because when you a person who moves enjoying haram, you'll be in the category of the people whose supplications are not answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you refer to that notable hadith, the long hadith, Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, ثم ذكر الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أو غبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يا رب يا رب ومطعمه حرام ومشربه حرام وملبسه حرام وغضي بالحرام. Four things. Yes, and then he asked, how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer a prayer of such a person? He comes, is very dirty, his hair is unkempt, but then putting his hands up, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he eats haram. He drinks haram. The clothes he puts on are haram, and himself he has been nurtured on what? On haram. But we will bring out the food and the drink, because that is what goes into the what?
Into the stomach.
The stomach. So it means we have to be very careful, not only avoiding the things which are prohibited directly to be haram, but also the things that are made haram depending on the way we have acquired them. That's a classical example of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, who never used to take in anything until when they had asked where did this thing come from,
the source of
to ensure he does not take in haram in as far as himself is concerned.
So meaning to the viewer out there and today's Muslim, we today have a craving for having good life generally. But you're telling us with what we are supposed to hear, what does it now it means that as I should be very careful what type of occupation jobs I'm aiming at, and then what are the sources of earnings I'm looking at, and then with that I also have to look at what is coming out of me as an individual.
Of course, incidentally,
yes,
at the moment you say Shahada and you're a Muslim,
no.
you have practically surrendered.
Oh, wow.
You have surrendered into a system that has guidance virtually on each and everything that takes place in as far as your life is concerned. Everything. Okay. Whether eating, whether sleeping, whether putting on clothes, whether in terms of marriage, you go to sleep, you're going to the places of convenience, practically everything has guidance. Oh, wow. So it means, really, if you believe and you feel you are really Muslim and you are genuine, you have to allow, you have to surrender. Allah. You have to surrender to who? To your Creator, Allah, and with the guidance that He has what? He has given you. We don't do things as we wish. Yes, we don't sleep like cows do. We don't put on clothes like anybody would wish. Even removing it to the extent of going to the places of what? Of convenience. There is a way we are supposed to behave. You get what I'm trying to say. So to answer your question is, Islam means surrendering to the will of your Creator. And the surrendering, even if you're to talk about in terms of military terms, yes, when somebody, a soldier, surrenders at the battlefront, they put their hands up. Hands up. Up means, you know, I'm harmless. That is number one. Number two, you are the one to give me commands. That's why you say, tell them your hands up. You move 2 steps backwards. Whatever they tell them is what they do. Unfortunately, we are very good at, you know, obeying our fellow creatures, yes, and not obeying the one who created them. So basically, to answer your question, is that everything a Muslim should be conscious. With the way we use our eyes, the way we use our ears, the way we use our tongue, the way we use our intellect. Not even to, we actually apologize to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek for His forgiveness, even for the evil thoughts that we entertain. Yeah, because naturally, we are weak. Nobody is perfect. That's what the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, that kullu ibn Adam khata'un wa khairul khata'in at-tawwabin. You are bound to make mistakes. But then he said the best is the one who seeks for what? For forgiveness. So to answer your question, yes, the moment you have accepted you're Muslim, don't believe some and leave out some. You can't afford to do self-service like you're in a buffet. Yeah, this type of buffet called Islam is one where you cannot afford to jump a certain station when you are serving. That makes you a believer. That makes you a good what? Muslim. Now, maybe can I continue on the other third and fourth aspect of the hadith?
Maybe before you continue, yes, there's also an aspect of can there be a case where out of necessity, out of coercion, out of compulsion, yes, in the environment, yes, do I have room as a Muslim, yes, to do something that is against what Allah would wish? Because you've said shyness is, yes, respect for Allah's commands, yes, respect for the code that the Messenger Muhammad taught us, yes, and respect for the community norms. Yes. But are there cases where out of necessity, I can say I did this out of beyond my control? I think like Islam is a natural system. Okay. Comes from our Creator, who is very gracious, who is very merciful. Yes. And usually He says, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa usaha. Allah cannot burden a soul with something that is beyond its capacity. So in the situations you've had the sheikhs of Sharia telling you that, you know, when you're put in a corner, probably you're going to die. Yes. And the only thing which is available to save your life is something which is prohibited. They said, take a little bit of it, okay, to save your life, but you don't put in your package that maybe wherever I'm going, I may also again fall hungry, such that I can also like a top up. So yes, when you're in a situation of tightness, Islam becomes elastic. That's why I think it's in the same concept, where when you're in a journey, you're allowed to pray, to join prayers, but also reduce on the number of the units. So it means because you are in a journey, you are hardened up. You understand? Okay. Now, likewise, when you come back to your home, again, it is not allowed that you should reduce. So Islam is elastic depending on the circumstances.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a merciful creator, is the one who created us and knows the circumstances. So with that, the Sharia scholars have taught us about those flexibilities. And in each and everything, that's why even during Ramadan, he says, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. When you are sick or you're on a journey, break the fast
and make up in the
coming thereafter. Why? يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to make things easy for you. He does not want to make things difficult for you, because he's a merciful creator.
Okay, or maybe as you go to the next aspect that you wanted.
Now,
today we have two main issues that I want you can provide guidance to the viewers out there. One, at the universities and secondary schools or general education institutions, we find these ladies, they would want to wear hijab.
Yes.
But some of the reasons they are going to give you is, one, hijab is expensive.
Okay.
Which is a fact.
Yes.
Secondly, they will tell you the institution in which we are has a phobia against our dress code.
Yes.
Actually, it also happens in some workplaces. So such a person, they are shy before Allah. But now, because of the environment and the conditions, what advice would you give such a lady who, because of the circumstances, one, she thinks they are expensive. Then another will tell you, no, they are not expensive, I would love to dress, but because of the environment and the work conditions, I cannot.
I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Whoa.
Again, it goes back to the issue of the iman. And understanding your deen.
Okay.
I don't remember the year. I don't know whether it was 2007 when we had the IEC Business Forum here in Uganda. I think it was the very year even they had Chogam.
Yes, 2007.
I was privileged to meet a certain sister.
Okay.
She's called Yvonne Ridley. She's a British journalist. She converted to Islam on her duty as a journalist in Afghanistan when the Americans attacked Afghanistan.
Okay.
But amongst the things, her story is long on how she converted, how she mistreated the Afghan soldiers, spat in their faces, spoke a lot of obscenity. But the more she was harsh on them, the more they treated her nicely. Finally, when she was let go and she went back to England, she bought a Quran, read it from cover to cover, and after some time she made up a decision, she became a Muslim. But she said when she had made the Shahada and she was back in Britain, she had two crises. One, she was a heavy smoker.
Okay.
And she wanted to quit smoking because she said she would actually smoke up to around 3 packets a day. Oh, wow. Then number two, she wanted to put on hijab. But all around her, she felt like people were going to judge her. She was not going to feel comfortable. Now, on whatever the girls you are talking about. Yes. So she says, because she had the means, she made a decision to go and visit a friend in Pakistan and then try to launch her being hijabi from in there to get used in an environment where others also put on hijab. So she says she goes. So when she goes, the first day she goes to the office of her friend, and the secretary of her friend in Pakistan was not veiling. So she was like, when she was put on full hijab, the secretary to her friend tells her, but madam, it's too hot. Do you have to put on the hijab after you're even a new Muslim? Then she says, she said that in the morning. Then she says she replied to the secretary and told her that my sister, yes, it is hot. But what I've read and what I know now, it will be hotter in Jahannam. He says by the afternoon when they came back to office, the secretary was also veiling. So it is a concept. Number one, expensive. The level of being cheap or expensive, it depends on what you want. There's hijab. Hijab is just a formula.
That's a formula, yes.
Hijab is a formula. That's why you'll find the hijab of the Saudis is different from the hijab of the Afghanis, different from that one of the Indians, different from that one of the Nigerians. So hijab is a concept. It's not a specific cloth. It's a concept that, somebody has to cover the entire body, except the palms and the what? And the face. So depending on the culture, depending on the price, everybody have their own what levels. Otherwise, you would say that poor people cannot put on what.
Actually, I should also mention that I was attending a workshop.
Yes.
Where the Malaysians, for them, they maintain their local cultural dress code.
Yes.
And made it hijab.
Exactly. That's why I tell you that hijab is not merely a dress.
Okay.
It is a concept. For as long as you understand it. So expensiveness, really, it is again up to you. There is everything for everybody. Just like in marriage, they have not told you to go and marry a daughter of a millionaire whom you will not manage to what to maintain. Look for your level, and trust me, they are there.
Okay,
you get what I'm trying to say. Now, regarding the
work environment,
yes. Now this depends, because it is an aspect of feeling uncomfortable. You get me?
Actually, before you even continue, for example, in the medical profession, I'm told either the rules of the profession don't allow you to dress fully, because you get germs and then give the patient.
Not really.
Most of the
there is always a way. That's why because you may be saying that don't you see in Muslim majority countries?
Yes, I do.
Don't they have medics?
They do.
They do. All they need to do. All those are excuses. Probably someone has not understood.
Okay.
You get what I'm trying to say. And also it means you consider the people around you as more important. You fear them more important than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who told you to do this in the first place. So basically that is something you really need. But if it is too much, also the environments where you can go, where you can fit in, where the hijab is okay, where there's a considerable number of people who look like you. Exactly. But it's also allowed that, if you're in a society and you want to reform, it's better to go in a society that people don't know you, but people are like you and can help you to build up that confidence.
So what message do you have for our colleagues?
I think they have to understand.
Especially those that are employing us, the Muslims. Usually they come up with
most cases, the problem may not be the employers.
The employers.
It may be the employees themselves, because they are not even confident about themselves.
Okay.
When from the word go, you tell your boss that, this is who I am. At this particular time, I will be praying. This is how I dress. Actually, even on the day of the interview, when you come dressed, we know the person we are dealing with. So if they gave you a job, when you came as a hijabi for your interview, you get what I'm trying to say. Already you've made a statement. It's all about the confidence you have.
So it is me that is a problem, not the employer.
But there are also circumstances where they will tell you openly, if you are to work here, you'll have to put on a mini skirt or a mini dress, and you'll have to remove that veil. Then in that case, I wouldn't advise my sister to take up such a one.
By the way, I've not seen air hostesses who are hijabis. I don't know whether we don't.
Well, it depends again.
Have you seen one in the airplanes you have?
I'm not so much familiar with that. But again, it depends on how you value your religion. But that is a question for the higher school, as far as Islamic Sharia is concerned, not for us civilians. So I mean, they can better answer that.
Inshallah.
Before the time catches up with us, the third aspect, which Allah, the Messenger said, to have haya, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as it befits, is to fear death and destruction. Now, in many cases, we make plans. We sin as if we know that the life is going to be continuous and to never come to an end. But whenever somebody remembers that death comes after death, of course, you expected of judgment. The of judgment is accountability. You have to account for every word you have spoken, for every action you have done, for every thought you have entertained. So whenever you know that there is actually a day of accountability, there is a time when the life will come to a standstill. You begin behaving yourself. You begin observing boundaries. You don't go overboard. You don't take what does not belong to you. You don't make others cry unfairly. You don't take from them. You see, we have many problems in our society. You don't overstep the boundaries. The other day, I was seeing on television of a gentleman who has a Muslim name, but here he was marrying two sisters in wedlock on the same day. And he was saying that at home he had another 5. And he had put on the Islamic cap. You get what I'm trying to say?
And he was being wedded by I don't know whether they were Muslim leaders also.
I can't tell. But now, this is going beyond the boundaries set by who? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when you know there is a day of judgment and when we will be destroyed and death, you don't have to grow old, you don't have to be too sick, you don't have to be in the intensive care unit. But when the time comes, it means the time has come. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make it earlier, nor does he postpone it for anybody. Whether you akhir Allahu nafsan idha jaa ajaluha. Allah subhanahu does not delay. You get what I'm trying to say? So, and the issue is, after death, there will be accountability. And this one we share, whether we are Muslims, whether we are Christians. There is that concept of accountability. That you know you have to account for whatever you did. You did good, you reap good. You did bad, you reap bad. So, remembering death and destruction helps you to be conscious of Allah, to be shy in as far as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
helps you remember that Allah wants this, I should do, then Allah dislikes
and
this,
we should do it very quickly. Avoid, as a take-home, we should avoid procrastination. That's why when prayer comes, they say we should pray in the actual time of what? Of prayer. Time for marriage has come.
The earlier, the first hours.
Exactly.
Of the
it's
prayer.
The best.
It's the best.
It's somebody's time for marriage, for my young brothers and sisters outside there. And you have the minimum means. Go ahead and do it.
By the way,
it's time to make charity. You know, Salam has Salam Charity is a branch. You know, you have something to give in, however small. Use that opportune moment, because the next minute you don't know whether you'll actually have that money. Next minute it may not even be yours. Okay. Because whenever you feel this urge, you say, okay, like Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu said, that you know, when you make it up to the morning, never think you're going to make it up to the evening. And when you make it up to the evening, don't count yourself among those who are going to make it up to what? The morning. The message in there is that you do whatever you have to do now. Don't procrastinate.
So you've hinted on the issue of marriage. Today we have a scenario in the communities we are living, where people, they have children but they are not married. And they will tell you marriage is expensive, but they're already doing things that married people are doing. So what message should we have?
Of course, the message again is in the head, in the understanding of the boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, Imam Ahmad Sentongo, may Allah keep him for us, used to tell us that many of you don't want to get married, but you want to enjoy the facilities of married people. And you find many people, but zina actually is more expensive than what? Than marriage. It's expensive depending on what type of wife you want to marry. Expensive depending on what type of show off you want to make to impress the community, and so on and so forth. Maybe very lastly, I don't know whether we are left with any more time. The very last thing is to, the messenger said, we should be, we should be shy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by avoiding overindulging in the ornaments of this world. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not prohibit us from having a good life. Driving a good car, sleeping in a good house, marrying a beautiful wife,
having a handsome husband.
Exactly. Yes. But it's like the young people these days say, "Tochisusa." I mean, don't go beyond the prescribed boundaries. You know, as you enjoy yourself, pay zakah, pay charity, help others, join kinds of relationship. Don't use your wealth to oppress what? Others. And that's what he says when he was talking about the story of Karun. Yes, who was one among the people of Musa, companions of whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a lot of wealth. But says, he told him, وَابْتَغِي فِيمَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ دَارَ الْآخِرَةِ. Whatever ornaments you've been given, use them to look for the best in as far as the hereafter is what? Is concerned. But at the same time, وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Do not forget your share in this world. So Islam is a religion of balance. Talk of balancing the boat. It's a religion of what? Balance. So those four things: the issue of the head and what it contains, the issue of the stomach and what goes inside there, the fear of death and destruction, and also not to be overtaken by the ornaments of the what? Of the world. That you are wealthy, you pay zakah, you pay charity, you help others, your relatives do not cry. You don't become arrogant that you know you made it because of your own, but you use it to seek the what? The akhirah, such that other people also enjoy it as far as your wealth is what? Is concerned. When you do those four, according to Ibn Mas'ud, when he was reporting the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you would have been modest with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. as he befits.
Mashallah. Thank you very much, Haji Sinan, for sharing with us the aspect of modesty. Sincerely, it is a very, very big issue in our communities today.
Yes.
That people are behaving the way they want. Actually, there's little respect for rules, whether in all circles, whether it is politics, whether it is the economic spheres, whether it is social life.
Yes.
But like you have told us, please always remember these 4 things. If you want to be a person who is shy, who is ashamed of doing things, 1, remember whatever is in your head and what is on the head, you should do things that are right, that Allah wants. What you're speaking, actually it is said, one of the leaders said, you have freedom of speech, but not freedom after speech.
Yes.
You can say whatever you want, but the moment
you've
spoken, you're going to be accountable for it, and which is very important. And in all spheres, whether it's the economics, you can communicate something that is going to disorganize the whole economic system of the country. But be mindful of that. Secondly, if you want to be a person that is ashamed, that has a shame in them, be mindful of what goes into your stomach. Right? Today we have a problem. People are eating and drinking whatever comes their way, which we need really to regulate, especially based on the teachings of Islam. Thirdly, remember death. Death is the equalizer. We are going to account for whatever we do. And then lastly, reduce on the urge, the greed for worldly ornaments. Perhaps it's the main reason. One scholar was saying, if I'm to summarize what life is all about, he said it is what is in the toilet. Allah. If you want to summarize what the whole life is about, you collect whatever you're collecting, but it all ends up pushing into what? The toilet. But what is going to make you satisfied is death. Because death knows no whether you're rich or you're of this high status. But all that is what Allah put for us. So as we are winding up, Haji Sinan, kindly give us a take-home message in 1 minute.
Take-home, we could say that, if you want to improve our modesty or our bashfulness, number 1, let us pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us on the straight path. That is number 1. Number 2, let us be in the company of good people who are bashful. It will help us to increase it. Number 3, let us increase on our knowledge of Islam, and also now the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say al-basir, the all-seer, whatever I do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hearing me. As-samir is all-hearer, whatever I do, he does what? He hears. And also try to be as much as possible acting in a way that will take you to the line of modesty. You beat yourself and also encourage others to be. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you and ourselves to make us among those who are modest.
Allahumma ameen. Dear viewer, you've been such a very wonderful audience. We want to thank you for always giving the time to watch our programming on Salam Television. From the start of the week to the end of the week, specifically the Alhidaaya show, where we hope that with the experiences that are being shared by our brothers, which is we can pick a lesson or two that is going to improve on our standing as Muslims. I want to encourage you to always like this program. You can find it on YouTube. Those that want to review it again, the link can always be, or you can always check out the recorded program on YouTube. Also have it on Facebook, and then you can make those comments that we can always use to improve on our programming. Otherwise, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the time you have spent with us, rewards you for your time, and also makes us among those that are people who seek improvement in their affairs. Allahumma ameen. I remain Muhammad Sekalala. I've been with Haji Sinan Siraj Mbulambago for today's. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, Salam TV.